Hey guys, it's Dan. Welcome back to Danotaz Media, and today Studio Mappa dropped the second trailer for their upcoming Chainsaw Man anime. And as someone who has become a massive Chainsaw Man fan and has literally collected all 11 volumes of Tatsuki Fujimoto's work, I decided that I wanted to break down the trailer from a manga reader's perspective and analyze some of the new information we got, as well as give you an insight to my thoughts on the trailer and how I think it's being adapted so far. But before we go any further, if you like animation, manga, and other nerdy forms of entertainment, you're in luck because my channel literally covers all of that. So make sure you hit the subscribe button in order to get more videos like these from me and my channel. I'd also like to issue a quick spoiler warning to those who haven't read the Chainsaw Man manga or have seen the second trailer, as we will be heavily discussing details from both within this video. So, now that you've had your warning, let's get started on this trailer breakdown. Let's start the breakdown here with this first scene of the trailer, where we see Makima and her men walking into the warehouse where they find the main character Denji. However, I'm not sure if this was just me, but when I first saw this scene, I almost thought this was a different character due to the way they colored Makima's hair, which makes it look blonde, which she's not. But still, I knew it kind of had to be her since no other character in Chainsaw Man wears their hair back in a braid. So I just found the scene to be slightly off-putting for that reason. This next scene in the trailer is pretty much straight out of the manga, when Makima and her men walk into the warehouse and see the bloodbath that Denji left after massacring an entire horde of zombies during his first transformation into Chainsaw Man. Those of you who've already seen the trailer know that it's around this point we begin to hear the voiceover of Makima's actress. Along with the trailer today, we also got official confirmation on the main members of Chainsaw Man's voice cast, which completely debunked most of the previously rumored cast members from what we now know to be fake leaks. Up to this point, it had been rumored that Yoko Hikasa would be the voice of Makima, which is something I briefly mentioned in my Ruby Ice Queendom video. But now with the official cast confirmation, we know that Makima's voice actress isn't Yoko Hikasa, but rather her Gun Gale Online co-star, Tomori Kusunoki. Here we get our first look at Chainsaw Man's lead character Denji and his dog Pochita, in a scene that is straight out of chapter 1 of the manga, in which Denji tries to get comfortable as he attempts to go to sleep. Denji will be voiced by Kikunosuke Toya, who is a new-coming actor who's making his grand debut here in Chainsaw Man. This casting kinda surprises me. Given how big of a brand Chainsaw Man has become, I would have thought that they'd get a more experienced actor for the lead role, similar to what we saw with Spy X Family, where we saw huge voiceover names like Takuya Eguchi and Saori Hayami play the lead roles of Agent Twilight and Yor Briar. But from what was shown in the trailer, I honestly love Kikunosuke Toya's casting. His voice sounds very similar to what I had imagined Denji to sound like in the manga, which makes me very glad since I was very concerned that they were going to cast an actor with a very gruff voice, which really wouldn't suit Denji since he's more of a happy-go-lucky type of character. Although some people may argue that a deeper voice would be more appropriate for the scenes in which Denji turns into Chainsaw Man, I tend to disagree, since Chainsaw Man is the type of character whose voice would probably be auto-tuned during recording. Here we pick up once again with Makima, as she confronts the board members of her Devil Hunter agency, which in the manga is sort of like an Illuminati type of group, which has ties to the Japanese government as well as the Yakuza and even certain members of foreign power. I'd really like to compliment Tomori Kusunoki on her voiceover in this trailer, which I think is really good. Some of you may recognize Kusunoki from her role as Len in the aforementioned Gun Gale Online, as well as her more recent role as Tia no Ryoko in Netflix Bastard Heavy Metal Dark Fantasy. From what I've heard of her voice for Makima in this trailer, I'm extremely happy with her casting, since she really captures the femme fatale element that I had imagined Makima to have in her voice in the manga. If there's one tiny little nitpick I have about this trailer, it's that I'm not a huge fan of the way they colored Makima's hair, as I mentioned before. In manga, Makima is depicted as having blood orange or like a coral red color hair, and although they did get this right in some of the previous trailers, for some reason in this trailer, the color of her hair looks very worn out, which I'm personally not a very big fan of. Next up, we get our first look at Aki in the scene that's definitely meant to adapt his introductory scene in chapter 3 of the manga. Aki is voiced by Shogo Sakata, who in my opinion is the most well cast out of the main characters so far, as his voice is straight up identical to what I had imagined Aki to sound like in the manga. Aside from his work as the voice of Gladion in Pokemon Evolutions, there really aren't too many projects I remember Shogo Sakata from. But honestly, if his performance in the show is as good as it is in this trailer, I don't think we have anything to worry about. Now, let me introduce you to my favorite character of Chainsaw Man, Power, who is being voiced by Farouz Ai, who is arguably the biggest name out of the main voice cast, being the voice of Jolene Kujo, the daughter of Jotaro Kujo, and the current JoJo of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean. This scene in the trailer is pretty much ripped straight from chapter 4 of the manga, when we get our first introduction to Power's character. Right off the bat, I've gotta say that I am so happy Farouz Ai didn't give Power a Harley Quinn-esque voice, which recently has been a very annoying trend that has been occurring with a lot of the more eccentric and silly female characters of animation. Thankfully, Farouz Ai takes a different approach, presenting us with a voice that is much more in line with what Power is like in the manga, being an incredibly loudmouthed character akin to a hillbilly redneck. Then, this preceding scene in the trailer where Power is naked can easily be identified as the scene from chapter 6 of the manga, where Power first manifests as a fiend, which is what happens when a devil takes possession of the body of a human corpse. Now, talk about being ripped straight out of the manga, this scene looks practically identical to the scene in chapter 1 of the manga where we see Denji standing in front of the grave of his dead father. Here, we got a clear look at Denji talking to his dog Pochita, aka the Chainsaw Devil. Pochita has been Denji's best friend since childhood, and has helped care for him ever since the passing of his father. Up to this point, it has been rumored that Pochita would be voiced by Ikui Otani, aka the voice of Pikachu from Pokemon, and although I know it's probably not true considering how most of the other cast members turned out to be completely different from what was previously reported, I'm still holding out hope, since I think casting Ikui Otani is such a clever idea, considering how many parallels there are between Denji's relationship with Pochita and Ash's relationship with Pikachu. Then, in the preceding scenes, we get a glimpse at Denji and Pochita's job, which mainly involves doing different tasks for criminal lackeys in order to pay off a debt that he was left with by his father before he died. And talk about another frame that's practically ripped from the manga. Here we have the scene where Denji is being killed by the zombie devil right before Pochita saves his life by merging with Denji and becoming Chainsaw Man. Then we cut to the next scene of the trailer where we have our first look of Denji transforming into Chainsaw Man, in a scene that seems to back what was previously said about the series at the Anime Expo last month, when it was said that Mappa wouldn't be censoring anything in their adaptation of Chainsaw Man, which personally is a huge relief. As a horror manga, the more extreme elements such as the violence and gore are extremely important to the overall tone and feel of Chainsaw Man's story. And as a manga fan, I was very concerned about this, especially since Mappa has previously censored content in some of their previous shows, such as Jujutsu Kaisen, which had a handful of scenes in the manga that were watered down for the anime. But from what we've seen in this trailer, it seems as if Mappa has learned their lesson, as most of the content in the trailer looks just as gruesome, if not even more so than the manga. While we're on the topic of Mappa, I've really gotta applaud them for bringing their A-game to the animation in this trailer, which looks absolutely incredible. Though many people such as myself tend to have mixed feelings towards Mappa as a company, I don't think any of us can deny that their studio is home to some incredibly talented animation teams. For those who don't know, Mappa is a well-known animation studio in Japan that has been highly praised for their work on some of the most popular anime in the past few years. The studio has animated a variety of projects that many of you might be familiar with, including Dorohedoro, Yuri on Ice, Attack on Titan: The Final Season, Jujutsu Kaisen and its movie Jujutsu Kaisen 0, as well as Kakegurui Compulsive Gambler and its spin-off Kakegurui Twin, which just made its global premiere yesterday on Netflix. But even amongst all of those titles, I honestly think Mappa's animation for Chainsaw Man and its trailers have been some of their best work yet, with highly stylized visuals and post-compositing that is on the level of Kyoto Animation and Ufotable. Here we have a good shot of the Zombie Devil, which is the very first devil that Denji fights as Chainsaw Man in chapter 1 of the manga. And then, in the scene preceding it, we get a great shot at the Leech Devil from chapter 10 of the manga, which is part of the very fight in which Denji learns how to control his Chainsaw Devil powers. Then, in this scene, we get our first shot at Power's Blood Devil powers. Being the Blood Fiend, Power has abilities similar to Mirai Kuriyama from Beyond the Boundary, which allow her to manipulate the shape and density of not just her own blood, but also the blood of other people, which allow her to do things such as make weapons that she, as well as other people, can use in battle. And for the final scene of this trailer, we get to see Aki summoning the Fox Devil, and while it's debatable on which scene exactly they're adapting, I personally feel that this is probably the first time we see Aki summon the Fox Devil, which would be in chapter 11 of the Chainsaw Man manga. And with that, we come to the conclusion of my breakdown for Chainsaw Man Trailer 2. If there's anything you think I missed in the trailer, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. And if you liked this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and share this video with others in order to help support my channel. So without further ado, I will see you in the next video.